the Scranton School District's special meeting for a specific purpose on this November 19th, 2015. Can we all rise and honor America and pledge allegiance, please? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Mrs. Orr.
Mr. Casey?
Present.
Mr. Duncan?
Present.
Mr. Duffy?
Present.
Mr. Martinelli?
Present.
Mr. McAndrew?
Present.
Mr. Gillespie?
Present.
Dr. Rowan? Here. Mr. Sheridan?
Present.
Mr. Dwight?
Present.
9 present, 0 absent.
Under our Act 93 provision, reports from Attorney Minura out of executive session.
Yes, in executive session, real estate, litigation, and personnel matters were discussed.
Under our Act 93 provisions of public comment, we have Mr. Gerard Hetman representing Lackawanna County, who has signed up to speak. Welcome, Gerard.
Thank you as always, ladies and gentlemen of the Scranton School District. Gerard Hetman from Lackawanna County's Community Relations Department. I know that you've got a busy evening here with the budget, but we'd just like to take a few moments. This was my appearance because of the meeting being rescheduled recently. I had to try to squeeze it in here where we could. I want you to make sure that we got the county's budget information for the upcoming fiscal year. And I should note that in accordance with the Home Rule Charter, the commissioners had their second and final reading of the budget at their commissioners meeting yesterday. So the budget, as you see it here presented and is presented in full on the county website in PDF format, will be the budget for next year in accordance with the Home Rule Charter. Just really quick, a couple of key points. The top point on the blue bubble on the top sheet, and also the top line on the second sheet. The county's general fund budget for 2016 includes no tax increase. The tax rate will stay the same at 57.42 mils. Going down, all of our economic development programs continue to be funded for 2016, including our Community Reinvest Grant Program, and also our SBA loan fee waiver program. We've seen those make good impacts in the community. We see them be well utilized, and we look forward to seeing them continue to do good things next fiscal year. To go down the bottom part of the second sheet with the narrative, and then the bottom bubble on the top sheet, the financial stability bubble, talks about several aspects of our financial management that the commissioners and our revenue and finance staff have practiced, primarily in the pursuit of an investment grade credit rating, and of course all of the other good financial objectives that we take to try to get to that point. That includes having our audit done on time in accordance with our bond indentures for 4 straight years. We've been able to build a fund surplus. The one thing I'll say about the surplus at the moment, as it stands now with the state budget cycle, we've spent just over $5 million of reimbursable revenue from our surplus to cover the cost of state services that would normally be funded at the time of service from the state budget. So having the surplus in place has allowed us to continue services pretty much uninterrupted, whereas if that wasn't there, we'd face either A, borrowing, or B, the reduction, cutting of services as it stands. I know that this district, as well as all districts across the Commonwealth, have faced the state budget crisis with a great deal of fortitude, and it's been a difficult period. So because of our surplus, we've been able to mitigate those impacts on the county level as best as we can. Again, just turning over, you see some of our debt positions at the top of the second page. And then again, the financial policy, expenditure, and revenue changes mostly covers the human services angle and the state budget, which I just mentioned. And the bottom line here on the overview is the general fund budget total comes in just over $110 million for this year. And then the total funds budgeted, when you add in all the separate funds that have to be broken down, comes in just over $180 million. So again, this was presented in accordance with the Home Rule Charter on October 15th. We had our series of 4 public budget hearings the following week, and the commissioners have had their 2 readings of the budget. So it is law as presented tonight. If there's any questions on the budget now or at a later date, I'll be happy to take them. Other than that, we'll just leave some information on some of our annual holiday programs, Christmas time programs. That includes the Santa on the Trolley schedule from the Electric City Trolley Museum. That starts up Sunday, November 29th. They do every Saturday and Sunday through Christmas then, up until Christmas, I should say. There's several excursions every day. The OHVA Santa Train, this is actually a really good program because this has gone on for probably 10 or 15 years off the top of my head. It never previously had to stop in Scranton until I'm going to say 5 years ago. For the first 3 years, it stopped at the Steamtown parking lot for the state building, and the crowds were decent. But last year, because of the construction on the intermodal center, it started going into Steamtown historic site itself, and we saw a great increase, even with some rainy weather, of people coming out. We attribute that to talking about it being at Steamtown. So we saw great growth in the crowd, and hope to see the same thing this year. And then the annual Festival of Trees, normally held at the Electric City Trolley Museum, will move to the mall at Steamtown this year. It's the same format. There's one price for corporations of over 50 employees to take out a tree, and there's another rate for nonprofits, small businesses, and schools. All of the money goes to benefit Toys for Tots. It just had to move because of federal regulations at the Trolley Museum. We can't have a fundraising event there because it's federal property. Even though it's for a very good cause, federal regulations prohibit that. So it moves into the newly rejuvenated, hopefully, space in the mall. And then that's pretty much it. I'd just like to thank all of the directors for a good year of work. I've appreciated working with you, especially our outgoing directors. I think 3 here. I've really enjoyed working with each of you over the last 1, 2, 3 years. And I thank you all for your time and attention, and all the best to you. And hopefully the rest of you will see you next year. So thank you, guys. No problem. Thank you. I've got to run back to City Council now. I apologize. I'm trying to cover a couple bases tonight, but thanks for your time and good luck.
Next, under resolutions, Resolution B1, Director Dunningham.
To the members and board directors of the City of Scranton, the Budget and Finance Committee presents the following resolution for your consideration. Whereas the Public School Code of 1949, as amended, requires the formation and approval of the preliminary budget, and whereas the obligation for the approval of the above is placed upon the school board based upon information and exchange between the administration and the school board, and whereas the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Scranton is hereby in position to carry out its legal obligation, now therefore be resolved that the preliminary budget as attached to the year 2016 is hereby introduced for consideration by the Scranton School Board in order that same, or any amendments thereto may be approved in accordance with the law. Be it further resolved that copies of the preliminary budget as adopted be made available for public inspection through the office of the Secretary of the School Board. And the Board of School Directors, said officer, shall advertise the action hereby taken in accordance with law and be subject to approval of all documentation by the district solicitor. Respectfully submitted.
Having been seconded, on the question? Hearing none, Mrs. Orr?
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Dunningham?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Marnell?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Dr. Rowan?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
Mr. Glidey?
Yes.
9 affirmative.
And under new business, Mrs. Martinelli?
Take this opportunity to congratulate the two city football teams. They had a hell of a game at Friday night. Unfortunately, it didn't go my way, but it was a great game. Great, outstanding. Scranton won in overtime. We had our chances. We didn't take advantage of them. But I still want to congratulate the teams for such a good game.
Thank you. I echo that as well. So, I think it's the first overtime game in the history of the Bell.
Right.
I think it was. And the kids played great. Thank you, Mr. Martinelli. I appreciate that. Anyone else under new business? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I think motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, meeting adjourned.